looks pretty good. All right, now some interesting stuff is going to happen now. Really the meat of what's going on in this time. Once we have our information, then we want to start making views in code, and this is all happening dynamically because again now we know how many buttons we need. We're going to have to loop and create those buttons as we go. So let's say here that we want to create buttons and put them in an array list and in a table row, right? So we're going to need all these buttons. So how do we want to do this? Let's start with an array list first. So here I'm going to make an array list of button called my buttons, and that'll be a field. I'll import array list. And then let's initialize that guy. So we'll make it a new array list of button, initially empty. And I want to loop over my number of buttons. So int I goes from 0, I less than my number of buttons, I plus plus. And I want to make buttons in Atom, right? So make a button. How do we make a button? So it's going to be a new button. And you would think that you could do it as simply as that, and it's going to complain that there's no such constructor. But what you want here is you notice that the simplest one is one that takes a context. So what is the context? You might be able to guess this from previous ones. So the context is going to be the current activity, right? So just this. I want to add that to my button array. So I'm going to add button here, and that would store all of them. While I'm at it, I should probably also add them to a table row. So I'm going to declare a table row here called row, and this guy is going to be a new table row. And you can probably guess here that we need to pass in the context as well. So this guy gets this, and just like I added the buttons or the button to the array list, I also want to take and add it to the row. That's not at all what I want to do. So don't ask me where that came from. Row dot add view. All right, and it's adding a child, right? So a button is a child of the row, so to speak. And if we think about the XML, that's kind of how the XML was structured when we had it hard coded. So let's go ahead and add that button. Okay, pretty decent. Do we need to do anything else with these buttons while we're at it? Certainly we know that the button is going to need an on-click listener, right? Because we're going to be listening to which of the lights out buttons were pressed. So it's going to be this will respond. Let's go ahead and have our class implement on-click listener and import that. And then we'll have it add the unimplemented methods. Set on bottom, it's going to make our on-click for us. There's actually one more thing. Well, I'll leave that for now, but we are going to have to do something else. So what else do we have? We have our new game button, right? So in here we have a new game button. So button, we'll say find view by ID, r.id dot new game button, and we'll set a listener on this guy. So set an on-click listener, and this will respond. Looks great. So let's go ahead down into on-click and see what we have, right? So there's only going to be two different types of IDs. In fact, not really. There's just only one thing has an ID. So if u.getID is equal to the ID of the new game button, right, then we want to start a new game. Now, back in the tic-tac-toe thing, we had thought about putting in a reset here. There's no such thing here, nothing to reset it. So we're going to just construct a new one. So a new lights out game with the given number of buttons. So that's if it's a new game button, it'll work like that. Otherwise, then let's go ahead and put a log here, and we'll say button clicked. And give it a main activity dot lights up menu. That was my tag. Go ahead and run this guy. Okay, emulator's launched, and let's check here. So play with 7 buttons. We go in. It says the play button was clicked. We're starting with 7 buttons. I don't have anything showing up here, so let's see why that is. So what did we do? We added the buttons, we looped over them all, and we added them to the row. We have a table row, but we neglected to add the table row to the layout. So let's do that as well. So let's see. So I need the table layout. So table layout. Let's capture that guy. r.id dot, and I think that was button table. And this guy, let's parenthesize it and ask that table layout, hey table layout, would you please, let's see, maybe I import it first. Would you please add a view to yourself? So table layout, we want to add, what view do you think we're going to add to the table layout? Yep, the table row. So we'll do that and try it again. And it launched, and we'll ask it to play. Let's see how that worked. There we go. All right, so now we have 7 buttons, right? So starting with 7 buttons, and if we count them up, we have 7 here. So that's looking great. If we click them, it says buttons clicked. And if we say new game, it actually does create a new one. We don't see it here, but I believe it is creating a new one. Of course, we don't see it because we haven't set any text on these guys. So that should be the next thing that we do. So how are we going to do that? So maybe down here at the end of this, I'm going to write a method here to update the view, since I'm going to have to do it a couple different places. So how do we update the view? Let's go ahead and click it, create the method. Plain and simple, we're going to loop over our number of buttons here, my number of buttons, and for each one, we'll say that my buttons, and get it out of the array here, out of the array list, and we will set its text, right, to be the appropriate string, some string s, and let's try it here. So string s is going to be, let's see, so I think we had a string for that. So let's see, not in here, but we did have the strings themselves back in the model object. That's right. So my game, get value at index, and then pass in the button index. So we'll get that guy, and let's see, what is it complaining about? Cannot convert from int to string. Right. Okay. So it's actually an int here, value. And then we want to set it to value. Very much potential for a bug here, right? So I just passed in an integer. I would have actually been better off with the string before, because an integer is the wrong thing. Because when you call set text, if we look here, the version of set text that takes an integer, notice it thinks it's a resource ID, and that's a problem. So it's expecting it to be like r.string.something. So we want to convert this guy to a string. We could do, well, a few different things we could do. Certainly the easiest thing to do is to just go ahead and concatenate an empty string onto it, and it should work fine. So there's our update view. Let's go ahead and relaunch our app. Try it again. Play with 7 buttons, and we get 7 buttons. Ooh. Oh, but of course we haven't figured out what we're clicking. We know that a button was clicked. We don't know which. So let's check that out here. So right here we have the button clicked. Now it's interesting. I certainly don't want to have a big if statement here with a bunch of IDs for all my buttons, because there's a variable number of them. Furthermore, even a loop really isn't going to work, because that would be assuming that I could loop over some set of IDs. And I really don't know what the IDs of those buttons are. In fact, up here, I never gave them IDs. So what I'm going to do is something that's pretty similar, but instead of giving it an ID, I'm going to set a tag, right? And a tag, quite simply, is just an object that I can associate with the view here. So I'm going to give it the tag that is the index where it came from, right? So I'm going to be inserting something into position 0, then I'm going to give it tag 0. Position 1, tag 1, and so on. So I think I'm going to use something like integer.value of here. Since it's expecting an object, so I can't pass in a primitive int. So this is going to make an integer out of that int, and we'll set that tag. And just like an idea, I'm going to be able to refer to it using a get method, an accessor down here. So in my onClick, we know that a button was clicked. So let's actually say which button was clicked here. So let's see. So probably want a string format for this guy. So string s equals string.format. And we'll say that button and integer right there was clicked, and that will be v.getTag. Let's see. So that should be okay. Let's go ahead and run. Okay, and play with 7 buttons. So we have buttons here. Let's click on it. So it says button 0 is clicked, button 1, button 2, all the way up to button 6. All right, so that makes things nice. So let's do something with that, right? So so if I clicked, then I want to tell my model object that I clicked. So my game, and I want to press button at index and at that index, right? So that was v.getTag. And let's see if I can get away with just casting it as an int. Let's try parenthesizing it and saying cast the tag as an int. Nope, doesn't like it. One more thing here. Let's try casting it as integer. There we go. Close enough, right? Run. Oh, it launched, but it's not going to work. Let's do one more thing here. So after they click, what I want to do is I want to update my view, right? So down here at the end of onClick, I want to call the update view method. Otherwise, I'd be clicking and nothing would be happening. All right, it came up again. Let's try it this time. So let's go ahead and click here, and it updates the buttons. So click, it updates buttons. That would have been a win, but I'm not checking for a win yet. Let's say new game, and new game does appear to be working, so I'm getting some random things. So looking pretty good. Let's take a minute and get the slides all caught up here. It's been a while since we've looked at them. So I want to make a new instance of our model. Well, this is going way back. It's been a while. So here's our model. So we used it to create a lights out game. Let's go over again how you create views in code. Right. So we stuck the buttons in an array list. We also stuck them in a table row. So here we declared an array list as a field and then a local variable for the table row. You're going to create any of these guys by passing in the context. All right, so we passed in this as a parameter. The names here correspond exactly to what they do in the XML, so that's kind of nice. We tagged them as we saw, and this is the whole everything that we did with the buttons. So create a new button. So again, here is the key line of code that is creating a new button programmatically. We set the tag of it so we could use it later. We added it to the array list. we added it to our row, and we gave it an on-click listener. Not necessarily in that order, but close enough. And then once we had our button row all set up, then we went and we captured the button table, which was a table layout from code, and we added that row to the table. All right, we wrote an update view here that we did after we had set an on-click listener on the new game. An update view was going to set the button text, and we've done that so far. We haven't yet set the game state. That'll be coming up shortly. All right, our on-click listener. We used the ID to figure out whether it was the new game button or not. And if it wasn't the new game button, there wasn't much we could do without using the tag, right? So we used the tag to figure out which of the lights out buttons that were being pressed. And that's precisely what we did here. So with our tag, we used the get tag here, and we told our game, hey game, I just pressed the button at that index. IDs didn't help us at all, so we have an update. So IDs don't help us at all, and update view is coming up next year. We've already written part of it, but let's see what else we can do here. So we're going to need to check for a win. Hope that's obvious to you. That eventually we're going to need to know whether we won. In fact, eventually, if we want to do it right here, we should disable the buttons if they won. So if win is true, then set enabled to false. And if win is false, then set enabled to true. So we'll just set it to the opposite of the win. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that in a second. And again, this reminder here about the set text that kept it so that this always has to be a string that we pass in unless we really do want a resource ID. All right, so let's go ahead and set the enabled, and then finish up. So an update view. So we've set our text here, and let's go ahead and say my buttons get I set enabled, and we'll say not win. Well, what was win? All right, so we can only need to check for that once outside here. That's going to be a Boolean. Win is going to be, hey model object, did you win? And there's a method right here. Our Boolean one is check for win. So that we'll pass that in there. And let's check this. And in a win state, it should disable. So let's see how horrible I am at playing this game here. Click, click. All right, so they disabled. Looks great. New game. We're good to go. All right, so how are we going to change the game state text? We're going to need to capture the text view again for the game state. And then we're going to have a couple of different messages. Remember, if we win, we're going to set it to one message. If we don't, then there's going to be a keep playing message. And then we're going to have to actually update the text view so it displays the proper string. But actually, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than this in here, because within each case, we're going to have a couple of different strings that we could choose from, right? So if we won and the number of moves was 1, then we can just use the simple version there so that you won in 1 move. Otherwise, we're going to get a string, and we're essentially going to do the formatting in one step here. So give it a format string, and then pass in the number of moves. And something similar over here for the other one. All right, and then finally we set the text. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that. It'll take a couple minutes. So inside update view. All right, let's see. So I want a string S. I want my text view, and I want to capture this guy. So text view, game state, text view, is equal to cast to a text view, find view by ID, r.id dot, and this is my game state text view. And then I'll eventually want to take that guy and set its text to the string. And of course, what comes in here is my different cases, right? So if I won, what do I want to do? If I didn't win, what do I want to do? Well, it depends if the number of moves is equal to 1 or not. All right. All right, what's the number of moves? So I guess we need something for that too. So number of moves is going to be in the game. So the game is recording the number of presses, I guess we called it. So if the number of moves was 1, we're going to set this guy equal to getString, r.string, and this was for a win, so it's going to be, let's see, so something like one game. Where is it here? You won, right? You won in 1 move. Otherwise, S is going to be getString, r.string dot, and you1 format string, and then we'll pass it in the number of moves here. And then something similar on the other side. Number of moves is 1. Then S is equal to getString, r.string dot, and this is sort of the keep playing. So the game 1 move. And otherwise, we'll do the formatted version. r.string dot game format, and we'll pass in our number of moves here. All right. And then when we're done, we update the game text view. Well, let's see how it works. Launching. All right, it launched. So let's play it with 7 buttons, and let's see how we do here. No moves taken so far. All right, great. So let's go ahead and do it. So click here, click, click here, click. Boom! I won in 4 moves. Let's start again. So 0 moves taken so far. Ho! I won in 1 move. All right, very good. So we see that it used the appropriate pluralized version based on the number of moves. 0 moves taken so far. 1 move taken so far. 2 moves taken so far. Seems to be working really nicely here. So looks great. What if we wanted a game with different than 7 buttons? Let's actually do this part. So I'm going to go back, and it's going to go back to my main activity, and let's change our number of buttons and change it, say, to 5. And that's going to come back with 5 buttons. Let's see if the model object make sure that it's using that. So we've looped over the number of buttons, so we have 5 right here. Let's go ahead and play this guy. I'm sure this is easy to do. Yeah, there we go. 1 move. Boom, I won in 2 moves. Great, so I can solve it with 5 buttons. What about 9? Final test. 9 buttons. Play with 9 buttons. And that just looks too complicated. I'm never gonna win, am I? Let's see, maybe. Go. There we go. 7 moves. Woohoo! All right, good job. Looks good to me. Catch up the slides, and then I think we're done here. There's nothing more to catch up. We are really done. Thanks for your patience. This was a really long one. If this were in class, this would have taken us a whole class to do. So good stuff.